Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Wonder Woman 117 from 1997. This is from the second volume, which was restarted with George Perez. I do have a Wonder Woman playlist. I'm doing John Byrne's run on Wonder Woman. Feel free to check that out. I started with Wonder Woman 101. So go check it out. This cover I'm not too thrilled about. So it's computer generated by John Byrne. He did this. Everything here is done by Byrne, but the cartooniness of Wonder Woman just doesn't look very with all this computer. Um, it I don't know. To me, it doesn't work. When you're doing the analog way, which is how she's drawn, not colored, drawn. But then you also then add these things. It just, to me, this image doesn't work very much. But John Byrne did do the cover, the entire thing, even the computer generated portion of the cover is his. I love mid 90s John Byrne. He was such an ink slinger. So we're picking up right where we left off here. We get a little bit of exposition in here. But, we're just basically getting caught up on everything that has been happening here. John Byrne is the writer and the artist. And so you can see here the laying of the hands here. He is also the letterer. So he does do digital lettering. However, it's his handwriting. So he he put in his, how he writes and then does it digitally. So I hope to event after we're done with Wonder Woman, probably his She-Hulk will be the next John Byrne project. I'm gonna try to keep and stay within the John Byrne family. So, all right. So, I already forgot her name here. Oh goodness gracious! I think her name is Christina or Christy, and um she's the only one without a nickname here. So this is Bulldozer here, the big guy, and she goes, "Bulldozer, that's Wonder Woman," and Bulldozer says, but who's the guy with her? He's big enough to be Superman, but I don't recognize him," he says. And so, um, this creature here says, "The long wait is ended, people of Lansinar. The Wanderers have returned to us, and with them they have brought the two discs we feared forever lost. Now the ceremony of realignment can commence, and Lansinar can be freed," she says. So if I remember, I think this is Oris. So anyway, Christine continues here. "We're in a mess, Bulldozer. The language that Falcon Woman is speaking is distant relative to ancient Egypt, and while I don't understand her, there's no mistaking the tone. Cave better have gone for the cavalry, or we'll never get out of here," she says. "You're right," says Bulldozer out loud, but then we get some introspective here by his thoughts. I've got to let Christine have that false hope right up to the end. I can't tell her the truth that Cave Carson is dead. So, Bull, this setup has to be connected to the worldwide earthquakes we came down here to investigate. Back at the Carson Subterranean Institute, we'd trace the center of the seismic disturbances to something in this area. It's too much of a coincidence that this civilization could be right in the middle of it, and yet unconnected. And Bulldozer says, "You're right. The whole crust of the Earth has been rotating, bringing the Antarctic continent northward by more than a mile so far. It seems insane, but I'm starting to think this city got built when Antarctica was hundreds of miles further north and there was no ice." You hit the nail in the head, Bulldozer. And then this is Cave. There's a hypothesis in the whole interlocking plate structure of the Earth's surface that may have shifted in one piece at a certain time in prehistory. I'm thinking this civilization is proof of that particular pudding. And so, Cave continues. It's lucky I was able to pull myself away from the burning mole while Bull and Christie, uh, while Bull got Christie to safety. Unfortunately, I was so groggy from the impact of the mole's crash that I was knocked out by the concussion from the blast. When I came to, Bull and Christie were gone, and I had no idea where. Luckily, I still had my full kit in my belt pouches, so I was able to explore. So John Byrne is sort of filling the gaps that we had missed. So Cave continues here. Now I better see what I can do about rescuing Bull, Christie, Wonder Woman, and that mystery man. It's not going to be easy. One against thousands of, he says as these hands kind of start. No, they snuck up on me without my even knowing they were there. So much for my heroic attempts. And so we now see here, release the frozen ones, says the owl lady. I think it was Oris. It's good that they should be witnesses to the restoration of our former glory, since they will be the first of their inferior race to be enslaved. So we've got Wonder Woman, and then the person that they were referring to is Hercules, who is, I think he's going by Champion, and she does not know that, I believe she does not know that it's Hercules. And so these creatures here says, a word of caution, Oris. The female is more powerful than any of her species. Twice she came close to capturing us three. Yes, she is known as Wonder Woman, an apt title given in a world, even in a world given to excessive hyperbole. And so Oris says, fools, you have been so long away from Lansinar, you have forgotten. There is no creature in all the world that is a threat to us. Of course, Oris, you are right, but we have seen what the female can do. You have not. We simply counsel caution. So Christy says, I wish I could get more than one word in 100 of what they're saying. They mean to do something to Wonder Woman and that guy, but I have no idea what. And Bulldozer says, if they just release them from the ice, I'll bet Wonder Woman would sort them out pretty fast. And then just like that, oh, what happened? Wonder Woman says. And I think, is that Christie that it's pointing to? Oh my gosh, that was ancient Greece. Sure, that's the language Wonder Woman speaks normally, says Bulldozer. It cannot be. She spoke the accursed tongue. So it looks like they got her down. We will not let this creature live long enough to witness the rebirth of our ancient glory. In the name of all that was and all that ever shall be, I will send her back to Hades whence she came. And off panel, I think not. And Hercules, or Champion, however you want to call him, goes through. John Byrne doesn't mess with the ink. It's all black here. You can see that, and then your mind sort of fills in the spots here. It's been a long time since I last set eyes on the three of you, he says, and then it was to see you sealed forever beneath the desert sands. And this guy here goes, another one. Are all these intruders scions of our ancient enemies? And Christy goes, hey, the big guy speaking ancient Greek too. And Aura says, stop this at once. There is never to be a battle in the Hall of Audiences. And she sends an energy beam to Hercules here. The power of my staff will strip you of all your strength, whoever you are. Now deal with the woman, she says. Um, where is she? Asked the right guy. I forgot their names, so you'll have to forgive me. John Byrne is just not doing a very good job in giving everybody's names here, so. And Wonder Woman says, "If you are looking for me, my strange friends, I am here, and your prize, yeah, and your prizes are now mine," she says. For all the things that I love about John Byrne, the lasso has to be the one I love the most. Just simple line, and then the glow of the thing. That way, he doesn't have to. Um, it's easier. So. And so one of them says, "It will do you no good to seize those discs, Wonder Woman. You have not the knowledge to put them to proper use." And suddenly Wonder Woman goes, "You speak the language of Themyscira, the language of ancient Greece." "We do, though we curse each syllable that passes our lips," says the other guy. And so she goes, "I think some answers would be well in order at this point. Who are you, and what is this place, and what is your purpose?" And this guy says, "We are the last warriors of Lansenar. Ours is a race older than the oldest memory of your misbegotten people." And so, 40,000 years ago, this city and the continent for which it stands lay further north as you measure the shape of the world. Here, a great and powerful civilization rose, the growing glory of centuries of art and science. All four ruled here as absolute masters of all we surveyed. Made immortal by our science, we set out to carve a global empire from the savage lands beyond Lansenar. Then there came a day unequaled for all the horror it unleashed upon the world. The great towers of Lansenar shook as the very crust of the earth shifted, turning one hemisphere south and the other north. That would have been more than 40,000 years ago, but hey. Within a matter of weeks, we understood the full import of what had happened, as well as the first time snow fell on the towers of Lansenar. We discovered that the turning of the crust had been caused by one of our own scientists working to explore a theory of plate tectonics he had developed. He had no idea his machine would do what it did, nor did he have a way to reverse that effect. It seemed that Lansenar, with all her gifts and glory, was doomed to vanish for all times beneath the snows which never ceased to fall. Knowing the war against the eternal winter would consume much time and resources, we instructed our subjects to take whatever measures necessary to preserve Lansenar, while we four took on the forms of wild beasts, such as we knew would strike fear into the hearts of the primitives who lived beyond our shores, and set out in search of a place we could accelerate technological development and find a way to save our home. Most people would just move, period. So, after more than 2 centuries of searching, we chanced upon a land of scorching sands and quick-witted people. We were brought before their leaders, being of strange power and dignity. We sensed at once that there was in them something more than human. So, naturally, they recognized us as something far superior to their narrow experience. The combinations of their powers and our inseparable intellects was great indeed. In the span of a dozen generations, we brought them to the very pinnacle of their achievements. Under our directions, we were able to reach a level where they could create a solution to the doom which threatened Lansenar. 3 discs, each possessed of great power, which when attached to the devices here, would serve to reverse the rotation and restore Lansenar to her proper place. So, all was perfect. We were in the final days of preparations to return to Lansenar when, of course, the Greeks attacked. At first, we saw the invasion of this primitives as no more than a momentary delay. Their swords and leather armor were no match for our weapons and the powers of the gods we had elevated. We had not guessed that unknown energies which had spawned the powers of our pupils might have created others with similar powers elsewhere in the world. So that would be the Greek gods. Incredibly, these invaders proved too much for us. So the Greek gods versus the Egyptian gods. Taking the precious disc, we attempted to flee the embattled city. Only 3 of us were successful, so it looks like they lost one. It was decided that Oris would return to Lancenar to prepare devices, while we would seek a way to rescue our companion and retrieve the lost disc. Searching the northern shores of the Great Sea, we found another advanced civilization, so that would be Greece, or Mount Olympus, which unfortunately proved to be under the control of a race of gods who bore a startling resemblance to our enemies. Tell you what, this Zeus looks better than the Marvel Zeus. So, we do not know to this day if they were different beings or merely different guises worn by the same so-called gods. So again, we haven't really had a name introduction. You know, we have had them in the past, but John Byrne hasn't really. It goes to that whole gym shooter thing. It's everybody's first comic books. You got to give people the names of things. So here the goat-headed one says, "We do not know that they returned us to the enslaved lands of Egypt, where we were sealed in a prison caskets, conscious but unable to move." And Wonder Woman says, "The same sarcophagi in which you were brought to the gateway city, where you languished for a century in the attic of the museum." And the cat, is he a cat guy maybe? Maybe he's... of that we know nothing, but when we were released, we learned only one of the discs was near at hand. Fortunately, we had created a link between the discs. This told us the first had made its way safely back to Lancenar, and that the third was in London, where you stole it as you had the other, says Hercules. Is it theft then to reclaim what is rightfully ours? We took those discs, as we mean now, to take back Lancenar from the tomb of ice which surrounds it, which would definitely fall under the heading of theft. And so they see Cave here. Time enough for explanations later, Bull. There's an important matter that needs to be settled here. Namely, these people don't want Lancenar freed from the ice. Cave, do you know that... Chrissy says, "Cave, how do you know that? You can't possibly understand their speech." And Cave says, "I understand just about everything right now, Christy. These people have created a kind of universal translator. I can understand them, and I can understand those animal-headed people." And Wonder Woman says, "But what do you mean about them not wanting to be freed?" And Cave says, "These folks' ancestors were left to fend for themselves, which they did by adapting to life under the ice. Of course, in 40,000 years, this has become natural to them. To remove them from this environment would be as a penguin were hurled to the Sahara Desert. Do you understand this, Oris? You have made yourselves aliens in your own homeland. There is no place for you in Lancenar as it is, and no place for the people of Lancenar anywhere else." And Oris says, "No, it is a lie." And the blind guy here says, "No, mistress, it is not. We obey you only because it is our duty to do so, though we know such obedience must lead ultimately to the destruction of all we know and cherish." And the goat guy goes, "It cannot be. All these centuries of pain and imprisonment. So just those that want to leave. I don't see the big deal." So is this the rat guy? It must be a lie, a trick to turn us from our course." And the other guy hears, "Yet, to look upon the faces of our subjects is to look upon strangers." If this is all true, Wonder Woman, you are known for your wisdom as much as your great powers and beauties. What can we do if all we have longed for 400 centuries is lost? Nothing is lost, Bast. Lancenar. Okay, so this is Bast. All right. Lancenar survives and has grown up and flourished even here in the darkness. It is for you now to learn the new ways to adapt yourselves to the people as they have adapted to their frozen home. So we've got this up here, and it's awesome. One long panel with Wonder Woman, and then all these things. Man, John Byrne, what a great artist, and what a great storyteller. That is awesome. And so we continue here. It is for you to seek within your own hearts and souls a new and better path to peace and contentment. And so Cave says the level of technological development down here is quite remarkable and all built in darkness and cold. And Bull says, I'm surprised they didn't find a way to light and heat Lancenar if they were so advanced. And Cave says, of course, they tried that at first, but they quickly realized they would be expending huge amounts of effort and energy battling something that seemed less and less likely to ever go away. So they elected to go with the flow, as it were. They adapted themselves and their technology to the new shape of Lancenar. And speaking of adapting technology, so, oh, that looks like a Batmobile almost. The Mole Machine. But she blew up, says Christie. Indeed she did, says Cave. But all I had to do was show these people the wreckage and describe what she was built for, and they created a new, improved mole. And they did it in a matter of hours. And Champion slash Hercules slash Heracles, it would seem there is much to be gained from this culture, much that the surface world can use. And Wonder Woman says, except for the fact that these people wish to be left alone, Champion. I know that in your everyday life as Herald Champion, you are a multinational businessman. But this is an instance where you should look elsewhere for profit and exploitation. And he says, perhaps. So, I guess it's time to say goodbye, Wonder Woman. That was Cave. I only wish there was something that could be done about the watchman you said was killed. And Wonder Woman says, the Lancers have promised to address the matter under their own laws. We can ask for no more, she says. And this guy here says, we are grateful to you for your part in this, Princess Diana of Themyscira. We wish you to accept this as our token of our esteem. What is it, High Priestess? Whatsoever you wish it to be, Princess. So, the invisible plane. And so, Wonder Woman says, the invisible aircraft, and it can be anything else I desire. A most welcome gift, High Priest. This frees you to return to Gateway City on your own, Champion. And, of course, we know something eventually by the end of Byrne's run. Something's going to be up, so. While I return to London to retrieve Helena and Mike Score. Or Shore, but I think it's Score. Like SCH from like school. So, I never thought Gateway City looked so good to me. So, again, computer, done by computer by John Byrne. I will drop you off at your house, Helena. Whatever works is still to be done at the museum can wait until morning, she says. I quite agree, Diana. Yeah, I'm bushed, too, even though we missed all the fun, Helena. I'm ready to hit the sack. And Mike says, you're more than welcome to come in for a while if you like, Diana. And she says, no, Mike, as you said, you are tired. You should get some rest before you file your report with your superiors. And Mike says, I'm not all that tired. Please come up for a while just to talk. And she says, Mike, he's human. She's a goddess. Nah, it won't work. It won't end well. Mike, you have been a good friend in the months since I moved here to Gateway City. I count myself lucky to have found someone like you so soon after arriving. And I know there have been times when you have wanted more of our relationship than I was willing to give. Perhaps you have even been deserving of more. And if I have led you on, in any way, I am truly, deeply sorry. This is called the friend zone. This sounds a whole lot like a kiss off, Diana. If I understand that phrase correctly, it is not. I love you as a friend. Oh, the friend zone. Um, Mike, a dear, dear friend whose absence would lessen my laugh. But because of that friendship, because of the feelings I have for you, I must now be honest, and you must be strong enough to accept what I have to say. In other words, I don't want no stinking human. Mike doesn't like being in the friend zone, so he goes, "It's that champion guy, isn't it? Him and his good looks and his muscles and his money. I'm surprised you'd fall for something like that, Diana." And Wonder Woman says, "We have no control over where the fates lead us. If Aphrodite deems Herald Champion to be the first with whom I know love, then so be it." You'd always think Aphrodite would want Superman, but um, can you accept this and be happy for me as a friend? No, not yet. Anyway, and not for a long time. I don't think, he says. He's so he says, "I am sorry to hear you say that, Mike. As sorry as I am for any pain I may have caused you without meaning to. Yeah, can't help it. Please believe me when I say I never meant to hurt you in any way, Mike." Mike's like, "Good night, Diana." Well, what do you expect? She's a freaking superhero. So look at her all sad. Oh, that's all right. It's a good call. This looks like a face. Here's two eyes and a mouth here. So, and again, this computer generated, done by John Byrne. And so he's walking here, sees this kitty, and kicks him. So he's like, "Oh man." And he's like, "Here, kitty, kitty. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm just crappy mood." And they're behind her, and he's try to get the cat. And here is Cheetah. Oh boy. And thus we end our issue finally here. And next issue, because you demanded it, the return of one of Diana's oldest foes. Be here in 30 days for Claws, Part 1. So, Wonder Woman 117 from 1997, written and drawn by John Byrne. Wonderful. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.